Hey guys, excited to be here with Zac Deane. Today we're going to be talking about why people are getting so sick, top health hacks. We're talking about stress and anxiety, sleep, exercise, everything to do with becoming your best self and producing more energy within yourself. So thanks so much for being here, Zac.
I'm pumped. Thanks for having me, Greg. Hey everyone, and super excited to share with you some epic nuggets of wisdom.
Nice, man. Cool. So give us a little bit of a rundown on your history and who you are and how you got to being in the position you are now.
Yeah, cool. So a little bit about me. I grew up in a very holistic, natural approach household. My mum was a naturopath. My first stepdad was a yoga teacher, and my second stepdad was a psychotherapist, talking about trauma and shadow and all this crazy release stuff that we hear about these days. And so, my house was the household. My friends would come over to play Grand Theft Auto in the back room and hear all these processes and stuff going at the front of the room. There'd be crystals everywhere. So I was one of those hippie kids, right? Super grateful for that. To all the hippie kids out there too. And so growing up, I was a chubby kid, had allergies, acne, and felt really kind of low on life at times, and definitely quite suicidal. Wasn't fitting in at school, and those negative dark thoughts definitely crept in. I was lucky enough, there was a transition where I had my first mentor at 17 years old, who was a fitness coach, a nutritionist, and just an epic human being. And he had taught me all these incredible things that I started to implement. I turned my whole life around. I then got all this confidence, so I started acting. I started a YouTube channel. I then worked with Vitamix, the blenders, traveling around the country making smoothies and raw foods. And then I studied nutrition and health coaching. I've been coaching for 5 or 6 years. And with that, got into a health and wellness network marketing company for 6 years, worked from home, traveled around doing events, retreats, workshops, and to now doing TV presenting as well as my health and nutrition stuff online. So super excited to be here, and that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. What I love about this and pulling together all of these experts at the moment is these people that they just surround themselves with what they're passionate about, and for you it's health. So I'm so excited for you to be sharing some of the things that you've learned, and obviously being your whole life, there's so much you would have learned and tried and tested out and got some good stuff to share with us. So let's jump into the first one. Why are people getting so sick?
So good question. Why are people getting so sick? I think when we fundamentally look at what's going on in life and we strip back all of the conditioning, how we do food, how we do exercise, how we do life, and we go back to basics, it's really easy to be healthy, and it's really basic. It's just the simple things done day in, day out. And unfortunately, we live in a world where we're just distracted with so many fads and diets and this regime and this fit and this cross and this whatever, all this type of stuff. I love CrossFit, but there's all these different distractions, and it's like it's like one shiny thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And so really what it boils down to, I feel that society is dopamine depleted. And when we're dopamine depleted, we find hope in that next shiny thing. Happiness is when I do this, or when I start that, or when I do this challenge, or when I feel this, or look this way, or have this girlfriend, or have this money, or have this body, I'm going to be happy. And it's always putting our happiness outside of ourselves. So I really feel that chase of health, or that pursuit of happiness, pursuit of health, is really what's making us sick. And then on a simply in today's day and age, we are so disconnected from nature, it's not funny, right? We have disconnected from light. There's fake light everywhere. That's why I wear these blue blockers. There's technology and Wi-Fi and 5G and all these different frequencies coming at us from different angles. Plus, we then aren't connected to the earth. We're putting, I give the analogy, think of a tree. If you have this awesome, strong, healthy tree and you put a tarp over the tree, what happens to the tree? It dies, right? Yeah. No sunlight. And so the same thing with our body. If we're putting clothes on, stuck in offices, and we're just under these toxic frequencies, over time, it makes us sick and causes disharmony in the body. We're not going to die instantly, but maybe in 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And so, it's all about reconnecting with nature, reconnecting with our food, reconnecting with our relationship with ourselves, and going about it step by step back to basics. And so, it's just because so many people are disconnected from nature, trying to find the next shiny thing. And people think it's easy, but it's not. You know, like anything worthwhile takes time, takes energy. You know, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to work on yourself as well. There's support that's needed, and I think a lot of people think they're trying to do it all on their own, and it's really hard if we do it on our own. It's okay to ask for help. So I think that's a big component, especially in the mental health phase right now. Lots of anxiety and depression and suicide. We don't have to do this all on our own. You know, asking for help, getting support, listening to podcasts, going to well, we can't go to events anymore, but all these different things we can do to reconnect to a tribe. That's where we really thrive.
Yeah. So just a personal experiment on myself, I find that when I accept where I am in the world right now, and I'm happy with who I am, and I'm not constantly chasing something, like whether it's an ultra marathon that I was training for, if it's succeeding in business or whatever the thing is, if I'm pushing my hardest because I'm laser focused, so when I push towards one thing, I'm my least happiest. I'm always feeling like I'm not there yet. So when I journal and I meditate and I bring myself back to, hold on, what you have right now is so good. So be happy with that, and I am happy with that. As soon as I become like satisfied and content with that, is overwhelming feeling of happiness comes upon me. So
the gratitude, man. Yeah, totally. Like in anything, in health, in business, in relationships, if we're comparing ourselves, the comparison is the thief of the joy. And that, feeling that gratitude, if we can be grateful in those troubling, uncomfortable situations, that's true success, in my opinion.
Yeah. Even the current event that we're going through right now, I was thankful for the challenge and the opportunity to learn how to navigate such a difficult time. Like, that's crazy, but that's made me feel good about it. My wife's like, wow, how are you so calm right now? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just feeling good.
Well, in every moment, and in physics, you know, with energy, there's equal positive and negative energy in every moment. And so finding that in this situation right now, as you guys are listening and hearing what we're saying, there are equal positives to this situation. There are equal negatives, and drawbacks or drawbacks and benefits. And so in that moment, it's as if we can see the balance of the gratitude in every stress in our life, then that can balance things out. So right now, there's so many benefits. Finally, people are looking after their health. Finally, people are coming together and relaxing and resting. Finally, you know, people are looking at their finances and their future and not just getting drawn into social media land, you know. So there's so many benefits, and it's about waking up. And unfortunately, it's doing it like this. And there's lots of other reasons behind the scenes that's unfolding around why this is all happening, which we won't go into. But this is a great opportunity as leaders right now. In order to shift through this, each and every one of us are leaders. We can step forward, even if you're influencing one person or just influencing yourself or, you know, a social media group or some friends or family. We have an opportunity and a challenge right now. We're tested to really stand up, keep our heads up, stay grateful, and keep moving forward regardless of these challenges.
You've mentioned a bunch of cool things that we're going to talk about now in detail. What I recommend that people do, if we're talking about this, is to go off and actually check it out and learn it in detail. A lot of people will hear one person say something, but there's a lot of truth that you need to learn about these things. So a lot of people might be like, what's this? What glasses are you wearing? And what EMFs? And what is that? Like, so go off and learn about it, because it's worth you taking the time to learn about it, because it's going to improve your health and reduce the risk of disease later. So, man, let's run through some of those things that you just mentioned before.
Yeah.
Let's start with your glasses. Everyone's wondering, why are those glasses?
Yeah, why are these blue blocker glasses? And I think just to reiterate, Greg, is that, don't trust anything I say. Like, just turn your bullshit meter really high, guys, and just, you know, critique it and go off and do your own research. And so, these glasses are a specific material that blocks out the blue light in the camera, well, in my eye.
That's awesome.
Our eyes. And so that actually, in nature, if we were living on the land, right, we would have woken up, we would have had the sunrise, we would have had some light there. We wouldn't have been indoors, right? Or we would have been indoors a little bit, but mainly outdoors, rising with the sun, waking up, going all throughout the day. And when it gets dark at nighttime, we put a fire on, we hang out, eat some food, and then go to sleep around when the sun goes down.
And
Now,
what color is the sun when it's rising? Is
it's
that color
this beautiful red, orange.
That's the color you put in the screen there.
That's right. It's these beautiful oranges and violets and all these different colors that we need to experience. And it's like, we've all been told to eat, the color of the rainbow. You need all these different colors of the rainbow in your diet, right? And that's great. And we need the same thing for light. And you look at the spectrum of light, there's all these different shades of light. And so we're not getting a right amount of red light every single day from the sunrise and the sunset. And so what these do is at nighttime, or when I'm on technology, my phone, laptop, computer, or if I go to the movies, wearing these to block out the blue light to balance it out. Because if I'm exposed to blue light from my phone, my laptop, all these lights in my house or my office, it's raising the level of blue light in my body and decreasing the level of red light, and that puts my body out of balance. That changes the circadian rhythms, the rhythm of our brain, and that causes disharmony throughout our hormones and emotions and sleep and food cravings. And what it's all about is getting back into that resonance of the planet by going up with the sun, down with the sun, and not staying up at nighttime and exposing ourselves to all this fake light. One of my mentors, who talks about all this quantum biology stuff, he says that Nikola Tesla, right, the guy who lit the world, an incredible inventor, he says that he's killed more people than the Holocaust because lights are so damaging to our body, our mitochondria, affecting our circadian rhythms and all these different effects on the body. So light in its natural form is really healing, but unnatural fake light is quite damaging. And that's what these glasses actually do, is mitigate that damaging light.
Yeah, so I'm an electrician and I've got a good understanding of the color temperatures as well. So when we install lights, a lot of people will put in different colored lights throughout their home. But a lot of people now are choosing a very sterile blue light, which mimics the brightness of the sun at midday. So like you're saying, you got sunrise, and the sun rises up, and when it's at the top of the sky, that's when it's blue light, very bright white light, and that's what's meant to keep you awake, because it's the middle of the day, you're meant to be alert. And people have that in their homes at night time, and they're choosing that. I said, how about you don't choose, 5,000, 6,000 Kelvin light? Let's go for a warm light.
Totally.
Yeah, warm light. So 3,000 K, people don't know also, you can also get an amber light or a red light. If you go for a Philips Hue, you can put them in your bedside lamps, and you can have almost a red light or we used to have an amber light, which was a 2,000 K. It was like orange, and it was beautiful to sit, and it's so relaxing, like when you've got that color. Yeah.
It's the red light that doesn't suppress the melatonin. So it's at nighttime, if you're using the red lights, you can actually fall to sleep more effectively. Sometimes if mind's racing, we've been on technology too much, it's that blue light that's penetrating. And in the morning, when you get that light, it suppresses the melatonin. And when it gets dark, the melatonin's released in our body. So it's, we're just ruining our cycle. It's so simple. It's just getting back in touch with that up with the sun, down with the sun, and not ruining the circadian rhythms. So, among other things.
Also, there's a lot of business people listening to this, which is the people who are looking at screens all day long. So you might have seen on your phone, they've brought out this new sunset or the warm light at nighttime on the phone now. So that they knew that this is a health problem. And so they've implemented that as a software update, and that just happens automatically now. But you can make it even warmer if you go and override your settings. And then, I don't know if you've heard of this one, Zach, but there's software called like Flux you can put onto your computer, and Flux makes your whole screen red or orange over the whites. So it's not so...
Yeah, bright. Flux is awesome. The phone's awesome. There's one that I recommend called Iris. It's like $20 Australian, and that changes it on a deeper level as well. During the day, the day glasses are usually the day ones that you can drive with, and then at nighttime using the nighttime ones. So yeah, light is really important. And I think, coaching so many people, hundreds of people over the last, few years, realizing that you can eat healthy, you can exercise, but there's something missing. If we're not if we're exposing ourselves to this fake light and this fake frequencies and not sleeping correctly, it doesn't matter how healthy you eat, how much exercise you do, the whole the whole foundation of our health is built on this light. And the reason it is because at a fundamental level, we have these things in our cells, in our blood, and in our cells called mitochondria. And the mitochondria are the fuel factories of energy in our body. And they create what's called ATP. And so to create ATP in the mitochondria, it eats or comes through into the mitochondria electrons. And these electrons, 2/3 of our electrons come from light, or 1/3 comes from light, 1/3 comes from grounding, connecting our feet to the earth, and 1/3 comes from food. 1/3 comes from food. So everyone's chasing the food equation and trying to, whether you've tried to do a fast before and you're like, oh, I'm trying to do a fast and cleanse or whatever, and you're finding you're so hungry. It's because food it's not, your body's not after the food, it's after the electrons. So if you connect to nature, go for a swim, ground yourself, plus connect to the right light, it creates more DHA in the body, which actually helps fasting, which is an incredible regeneration process, especially right now. If you guys are, emotionally eating, feeling stressed at night times, having cravings, it's a big part of that is getting the right sunlight and getting the right connection to the earth, not the food that we're eating.
I'd love to talk about fasting in a minute because I'm a big advocate of fasting as well, water fasting. Awesome. But earthing, also, we know as an electrician, I know a lot about earthing as well. And when you used that tree analogy before, I thought you were going to say if you were to put a container under the tree's roots, good luck growing tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I should add that.
Yeah. So that's earthing for people that are under. But let's dive into what you understand about earthing, Zach.
Yeah, well, if you look at some graphs out there where you see the invention of the rubber shoe, which is ungrounding us, there's a massive spike in man-made diseases and preventable diseases. And, coaching so many people, I've just realized that, the basics, most people I coach, yes, they're eating pretty good, they're exercising, but when you look at their everyday life, they're getting up out of bed, they're putting their shoes on, they're going to work, they're smashing a coffee in the morning, they're putting their sunglasses on to protect their eyes, to shield the healing energy of the sun. So we're not getting any of the sunlight. We're in a car, we're in public transport, we've got all these clothes on, we've got makeup on and hats and stuff to protect ourselves from the sun because we think it's an enemy. We go to work under these fake lights in fake rooms with all these frequencies, and then we have maybe a lunch break. Hopefully we sit outside and we eat food that's not organic and got lots of toxins in it, and then towards the end of the day we have another coffee or energy drink, and we go home into our houses, watch TV, and not, I don't know, it's just obviously that cycle is not working. And anyone out there, if how you're feeling, just judge your results and judge everything on how you're feeling. Do you feel that you have a lot of energy? Do you sleep well? Do you have do you have small amounts of cravings, or do you not crave anything? Do you feel that you can see your six pack? And judge by the results. And if what you're doing isn't working, it means you have to shift something up. Because if we keep doing what we've always done, right, we're going to keep getting what we've always gotten. So we have to shift something up. So my question to you guys out there, yes, we have these challenging situations with the virus and the world and family and money and all these. Yes, everyone's got these challenges right now. But the question is, how long are you willing to put up with that? And are you wanting to shift something? Because it's only one or two little habits that shift that can change everything. And so the earthing is one basic one. At lunchtime, go outside. Obviously, we can't go to the offices now because we're all stuck indoors. Yeah. But if you can get outside, it's the best thing to do. Just ground, put your feet, lay on the floor, drink some great water, do some breathing, bit of a meditation, and it can completely calm our nervous system.
So let's talk about earthing right there with what you're talking about right now. From my understanding around earthing, Australia particularly, or if you live in a dry country, there's very dry soils as well we have to take into account. When we're talking about earthing and we use our meters to make sure that the earthing connection's good enough, a lot of the time the soils are too dry, depending on where you live, especially in Western Australia. That's really dry, northern all around the top. So if it's in a dry space, the earthing doesn't work as well. So you need to even consider that sort of stuff. Wetter soils, you're going to have better connection. Wood is non-conductive. So if you've got wooden floorboards, how many of you wake up, get out of bed onto carpet, then go across to a wooden floorboards or ceramic tiles, which are non-conductive, and and then you put your shoes on, go to work, wear your shoes all day long, come home to your wooden floorboards, carpet, or ceramics, and never get earthing all day long.
If you want to be connected, you got to get connected. Like, that's the simplest. And the best place to go. I'm so grateful living near the ocean. As the water comes in on the sand, just having our feet there is a great one. Grass that's like slightly wet. You can buy grounding mats that plug into the wall and you can sleep on them. But I've also been told that, the electricity could have dirty. You might be able to answer this. Can some electricity be toxic with those grounding cables?
Well, any electricity puts out an EMF, like an electromagnetic field. Is when the electricity runs in one direction, it creates this ring around the direction it's running. So if it's going in a grid like this, it's just creating EMFs. So whether or not you want a perfect segue into EMFs.
Well, even like hot mattress warmers, that's all electricity. Everyone's Bluetooth, these headphones these days, these aren't ideal, but we just do it for the interview. But there's ways of actually measuring the EMFs in our life. One of the biggest things and the best thing we can do today is every time we put our phone in our pocket, or if you're putting your phone in your top, to put it on flight mode, to turn the radiation off, because it's as damaging as a router. No one would ever sleep next to a router. If you're having really lots of problems with your sleep, where is your router? Make sure you turn that off at night. Ideally, if you can in your household, if you have a router, go cordless, go Ethernet, and connect back to hard wire to your laptop, to your TV. I guess it's a smart TV now, and then to your phone. On eBay, you can buy these little adapters. So you can get your a wire connection straight to your phone. So these are little things, and I've even got a meter here. For those of you who probably go, I don't think EMFs are bad. It's just what we're kind of used to. But I don't know if you can see this here, my phone here, which I'm using at the moment, actually.
Yeah, so he's holding his phone up to the camera, and there's a red. What range are we in there?
That's going to be, 1,000.
It's green, yellow, orange, and red, and it's up past.
That's 100. Oh, look, you'll be able to see it there probably.
And it's buzzing. It's about to explode. So I
So
think also what we should show is as you get further away from the phone, the signal drops quite quickly, doesn't it? The level.
Yeah. So we've got let's see if I can go back.
Yep. So now it's down into the green now. So how far away is that? A meter?
That's about a meter. Just nearly a meter.
Yeah.
So if I come back in, it's a hot spot.
Yeah.
And this is what we're sitting on every day in our pockets. Having lunch, doing lunch, with our family. It's just a big wake-up call.
I have a personal story around this. I've always carried my phone in my pocket ever since I was a teenager. My left pocket, I carry it in my pocket. So you can imagine how close that is to my private bits, right? So all day, every day, I'm carrying around a phone that has that close, where you saw it was in the red, next to my genitals. Yeah. So when we were trying to have a kid, like, we couldn't get pregnant to begin with. And then I was reading up on it, and I actually found out a little bit about this. And I decided I'm not going to put my phone in my pocket while we're trying to have a baby. And with that next month, we had a baby.
Oh my gosh!
And then I was like, that's great. And I put my phone back in my pocket. And then the next baby would come along, and we couldn't do it again. And guess what happened? Took my phone out of my pocket, left it out of my pocket, and we had a baby the next month.
Oh my gosh!
Conceived.
So good at having babies, mate. Good on you.
But that's when I didn't have it next to my genitals, right, sitting right there. So what I personally do now is I don't carry my phone in my pocket anymore. Well, sometimes I do when I'm in a rush or whatever, and I don't have my battery in my watch. But the watch has 3G on it now. So that's, I can keep that. And the watch doesn't have a strong signal for some reason. It's probably got less signals. But I carry it around on my wrist, which is away from my body a lot of the time. So that is a good way to keep that separation that you need to get away from that.
I would just add that, there may be less less radio frequencies, but there could be more electrical frequencies on that one. I don't know. Have you tested that?
I haven't tested that, no. Yeah.
Just something to consider. Yeah, and it's just one of those things we have to then, if we're going to be having convenience is going to rule the world. In Sweden, parts of Australia, even people are getting microchips. The next generation transhumanism, people turning into robots is like, it's not a future thing, it's a current thing. And so I think, there's even the Oura Ring. I had an Oura Ring for a while and I used that and that's great. But I think the more that we can just kind of take a step back and go, what is this technology thing what really is going on? And just to remind ourselves, do we really need these pieces of technology? My friend has the Bluetooth headphones, and I'm like, dude, and I try not to tell anyone. I get, I've been trying to educate people on this for so long, and they're just like, oh, shut up, Zach, oh, yeah. But there's so many studies out there with, potential potential disharmony going on in people's brains, or in women's, breasts and breast cancer happening as well, because so many women are putting their phones in their tops. So there's lots of science out there, and there's lots of science to say there's lots of science out there to say it's damaging. And there's a really good documentary called Generation Zapped. And another one for a friend sent it to me. I think it's just called Frequency, and talking about electricity and the telcos and all that type of thing. But also, there is some stuff out there to say it's fine. But even in the manual of the iPhone and some of the smartphones, it says don't hold next to your head longer than a minute. So it's we just don't read these things.
Something we haven't talked about yet was sleep that you mentioned before. So let's talk a little bit about sleep, because you said the light affects our circadian rhythm. So what about sleep in general?
Oh, well, sleep is such a big issue these days. People are going to bed later, and it's getting up in the morning and not feeling rejuvenated. Sleep should rejuvenate us. We should jump out of bed going, yep, really excited for the day. But it's just about habits, right? So for me, it is easy with work and with what I'm doing with business to stay up late on my computer, on my phone, and so having these things to protect myself, is important. It's about buffering the exposure to these things. But ideally, going to bed around when the sun goes down, and then ideally getting up when the sun comes up, and getting to the sunrise for the first, 10, 15, 20 minutes, ideally, even if it's just 2 minutes, just that little bit of red light to the eyes helps wake us up. And then the next day's sleep is going to be deeper, because the sun also generates more melatonin in the skin and through the brain. So if we're exposing, ideally, the best thing in the morning is naked. We want to be as naked as possible in the sun, connected to the earth, drink some water, and get that sunrise. That red light isn't going to damage the skin. Yeah, as soon as it gets to, say, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, it's quite intense, and then don't look towards the sun. But don't look towards the sun anyway. Just look off in that first 10, 20 minutes, about 20 degrees off from the sun. And so, getting to sleep, make sure your bedroom is fully pitch black, as dark as you can, making sure all technology is out of the room, maybe putting some essential oils on like lavender, or having some chamomile tea, having some nice honey at nighttime can be really soothing and relaxing. And having an eye mask. I bought one of these amazing eye masks from one of these companies, and it's like a really nice cushiony thing, and it's just helps me have a really nice sleep. Earplugs are good too. And then having an alarm, I found having an alarm in the morning that like stressed me out. It was so like boop, boop, boop. And I need to actually edit it, because it's been coming up recently, getting up for the sunrise. But finding an alarm clock that's quite soothing and that gets you into that awake state more gently is really good too, and slowly. And then first thing in the morning, hydrating, going out to see the sun. Feel like a bit of a broken record, but it's really easy, guys. Just get up when the sun comes up, go to bed when the sun goes down. Do that for 30 days. My challenge to you guys is I challenge you, see the sunrise every single day for the next month, and go to bed when the sun goes down. Aim for 9:30. It's probably, everyone thinks that's impossible doing the business life. But what happens is when you have more energy, you have more vitality, passion, and just, presence in your business. When you're showing up to meetings and you're healthy and vital and you look fresh and you're just like really present, do you think you're going to have more business? 1,000%. If you go, for the future, if I go to do business with someone, I look at someone's eyes, I look at someone's skin, how do they look after themselves? If I'm going to get into a business relationship, are they going to be looking after, if they don't look after their body, how are they going to look after the business, And it's not just, success and having this kind of like big belly and being like, yeah, I'm successful and rich and like big stomach. It's like the old model of being successful is having, this abundance and big belly. But no, like the new generation is healthy, vital in all areas. Yeah. So, yeah.
What are some basic nutrition tips just for someone that's never really, they're still getting McDonald's, they're out, grabbing takeaways because that's convenient for them. They're still buying foods and not being conscious of what impact it's having. What are some basic tips that people can have to take away today and just know that those things are at the back of their mind next time they're deciding to buy certain foods?
Okay, so the food equation. If there's anything you want to focus on, number one is getting the sun right and the sleep correct, because when we sleep, it resets all our hormones. So if we're not sleeping correctly and we're eating too much sugar and all these different habits start to pop up, it's because when we sleep, it regenerates our dopamine. And when we don't sleep correctly, our dopamine's low. So then during the day, we have less control on social media. We have less control in arguments and emotional states and eating. So if you find yourself reactive to the world in general, it could be because of a low dopamine. And no food or supplement can help resolve that long term. It's about getting that sleep cycle correct, getting back into that rhythm. So that's number one. If you're not sleeping and you're not getting into the light, these next few food things will only work to a degree, like a small degree. Yep. So, but if you've got your sleep and your light correct, I would be focusing in the morning, I like to do a little bit of intermittent fasting, eating around 12 o'clock every day, pushing that eating window as far away from, in the morning as possible. That works for me. Some body types, it changes. But really when it comes to food, what do you eat? It comes down to the environment that we're in, the temperature that we're in. Eating foods that are based in nature, that are around our area, that's in New South Wales, here in Sydney, or wherever you're based, eating the foods of that area. You walk into a supermarket these days and there's the same food all year round. Yeah. It's bizarre because there are 4 seasons and there's going to be foods that grow at different times, but we're getting all these foods from overseas or different parts of the world, and we're thinking to eat them every single day, chicken and rice every day, every day all year round. No, it doesn't work like that. And broccoli, it just doesn't work like that. So it's about eating seasonally based on the temperature. When you go to a restaurant, it's pumping aircon, it's freezing, sometimes really cold in there. So it's easier when it's cold. Of course, you're going to want pasta and steak and like heavy foods. But when it's hot, you might want a coconut and a smoothie or something like that, So eating depending on the temperature, eating depending on the region, farming local markets, farmers markets on the weekend, one of my favorite things to do. My go-to for my food for many years now, knowing the benefits for our gut health, is bone broth. Beef or chicken bone broth, slow cooked, is ideal. Lots of spices that are really good for circulation, cayenne pepper and turmeric and like cumin seeds and cumin and stuff are really good for cleansing out the body. So on a fundamental level, it's really simple. And then, when you do go out to eat, enjoy yourself. There might be a 20%, 80-20 rule, where 20% of the time you enjoy life. Life's short. So enjoy yourself. Don't stress about, oh my God, I'm eating this piece of bread. Oh my God, I'm having this bit of ice cream. If you're going to do it, commit. Just do it 100% and enjoy the process. Yeah. And then the other 80% of the time, have some systems, some morning routines and some evening routines that help you start the day in a powerful way and then help relax you in a nice, restful way at nighttime. And, we live in this crazy, unbalanced world, but it really makes a difference. If we're wanting to excel and have, put our best foot forward in these challenging times in business, and we're wanting to really take our business or relationship or our body to the next level, it comes back to self-responsibility. No one's going to spoon feed us money or, health or the perfect relationship. It takes work. and realizing that the tip of the iceberg, you see the tip of the iceberg, it's like, oh, it's success and yes, goals and happiness and joy. But the bottom of the iceberg is like habits, stress, down days, getting triggered, coaching, feeling exhausted. These things happen, and we have to create systems in the morning and the evening. So, systems, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but having these things like the blue blocker glasses, or I've got this thing that my friend Johannes gave me, the Iceman, and I put this around myself, and this helps me breathe. It strengthens the muscles around my chest, my diaphragm.
Yes.
Yep. That's really cool. The EMF meter or essential oils, and having your environment set up that it's like a health retreat where coming home is relaxing and calm, and you've got these things to lean on. And also the thing we haven't mentioned is finding an accountability buddy. How do you make this fun? Is you find friends, people that are on the same page that want to do this with you as well. There's nothing worse than having an accountability buddy that goes, oh, stuff this, let's go to the pub.
Totally.
Pubs aren't open anymore, but down to the bottle shop. And so, finding someone who's on the same page, where it's like, hey, Greg, let's do this, like pushes you, challenges you, supports you, celebrates you. That's the best thing. Finding, I think really life begins when we find a supportive crew and, a tribe or a team or whatever you want to call it. But when we all work together on a common vision, life gets so much more exciting. So out there, if you're out there finding people on like meetup.com or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, reaching out to me, I've got some health groups. Finding other like-minded people makes this whole process 1,000 times easier, because in groups, our pain threshold goes up as well. Working in teams, we have a high level of stress resilience. So that's a really important fact.
Man, you just said so many good things in such a short period of time. I want to go back. I want to go back to the start and go over a couple.
I'm getting sweaty.
Yeah, that was so good. There was so much in there. Let's just deconstruct a little bit. So if we go back to your first point was eat around the environment that you're in. So for the listeners and people that really don't have good understanding, so at the very top end, it's buy from your local market, right? Because they're the people who have the farms, they have the produce that are local, and they're going to be there. So that's your top priority in terms of getting the best quality food. Second to that is buying Australia made, right? So it's in Australia or in US or in Italy or wherever it is that you are, and having that wherever it is, because if it's imported from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere or the other way around, that means that it's not currently in season. So that would be the second point. Would you agree there?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next thing, I got a little story around that ice cream thing. So being late, at the start, I said I'm laser focused. So when I commit to nutrition and health and stuff, I'm like, don't give me that. No, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this. And boom, I'm on point every single time. And whenever I was to go out and be a part of a community, was your fourth point there, being a part of community and around these different people, I couldn't connect with some people that were really close friends, because they would say, oh, do you want an ice cream? I would say, nah, I'm not having an ice cream.
No, come on, Greg. Just have one bite. Live a little.
So it wasn't until I relaxed a little bit and I was comfortable with who I was right back to the start I was accepting of, hey, the ice cream, I'm going to survive if I have an ice cream. I'm not going to die, So, and then enjoying it, and then often comes with a headache and a down level of energy afterwards, but accepting that is okay as well, because for me, I was like, if I'm not at my absolute peak 100% of the time, I'm failing. And that was hard to sustain, obviously. There's a lot of energy that goes into that to try and maintain that all the time. So, I think we just don't want to overdo it. You don't want that to become the normal, ice cream after dinner every night. A lot of people will have that, and they don't realize the implications of that on their sleep, massively. One of the big points there.
Totally.
So that was a really good point, man. So thanks for sharing about that one. The systems and tools that you said, is there any other tools and systems, or we've mentioned so many throughout this, maybe we could just bullet point them now for people to get a pen out. Everyone get a pen. You ready?
Pen and paper, ready, set, go.
All right.
Yeah, look, number one, definitely back to these glasses. These are so practical. Whether they're a design that you like or not, they are so beneficial at nighttime if you find your head's racing or you're just wanting the best night's sleep. You put them on at nighttime and you'll be yawning and falling asleep in no time. So don't use these red ones driving at all. After that, I would probably say, we didn't actually touch on supplementation. I don't believe in a lot of supplementation. When you get back into that balance with up with the sun, down with the sun, getting the right amount of vitamin D, it changes everything. Vitamin D is so amazing for our immune system. It just generates, it helps skin and wrinkles. It helps injuries. Getting the right sun it kills bad bugs in the belly. It boosts good bacteria in our belly as well, the right sun exposure.
Yep. So
if all the things the society, and all these big health influencers aren't talking about the sun because you can't make any money out of the sun. You can't bottle up a sun pill, So it's like, if you want the research, if you want that, I'd love to share a couple of names in the show notes. Someone to go research will be Dr. Jack Cruz. And if you want to learn more about 5G and the effects of 5G, he's an incredible human being and knowledgeable about that. And all his posts on social media is just him at the beach. It's really good. And he's reversed a whole bunch of chronic diseases just from getting back in the sun, eating oysters as well, high levels of zinc, lots of fish. Getting wildly caught fish that has high levels of DHA, which is the fat of the fish, which is the sunlight. Sunlight's in the fat, and that's what we eat. So that can change our whole life too. But some of the minerals to mention is like MSM. It's a sulfur which helps build cartilage and helps detoxification. It's really good for our body. We're just deficient of it these days because of our food and cooking, but MSM is really good. Things like fulvic acid minerals are really good. C minerals are fantastic. I think a lot of society's depleted on minerals at the moment. What else is really good?
What salt do you recommend people have?
It needs to be either sea salt or the Himalayan salt. Some people say the Himalayan salt's got toxins in it and stuff these days. It's the cleanest salt you can get from the health food shop, I recommend. Sure. Sea salt will be great. And then, things like herbal teas. There's certain tea combinations for your kidneys or your liver or your skin or detox. Like, teas are amazing. China, I had this 1,000-year-old tea from China. Oh my gosh, I was peaking more than a coffee, and I was like, this is insane. And it's from a tea, and that has a lot of caffeine in it too. Yeah. Switching from caffeine, this might be a good segue, from caffeinated drinks. If you are going to have coffee, guys, I highly recommend putting some organic butter in there, some coconut oil or MCT oil. It's going to slow down the absorption. If I ever have coffee, it gives me anxiety and I go up and I come crashing down. But we want sustainable energy. If you guys are business people and you're kind of going for it, you want to be able to support the hustle, support the vision and the mission. So you can be blessing people's lives with your vision for longer. And so if you are going to transition out of coffee, things like turmeric lattes are good. Yerba mate tea is high levels of caffeine. Yerba mate tea is blow
that
your
got me.
head off.
That was too much caffeine for me. I've got all wigged out from too much yerba mate.
Yeah. So there's these awesome, it's the habits that we're doing now that are creating our situation, like I said before. So it's like, what if there was one or two little habits or just one thing that you take away from this video that you go, I want to try that for this week. And then next week I'll try the other thing that he said. And maybe I'll get one of those EMF meters or those blue blockers or get some essential oils. Frankincense is one of my favorite essential oils, under the tongue, one drop. It totally relaxes my nervous system. That's really cool. A really good app to get, guys, is D-Minder. D-Minder. And it actually gives you the sun cycle of when the most, how much time you should spend in the sun, and at what points of the day that are where you only need 5 to 10 minutes, and what parts of the day you need 20 to 25 minutes, and what parts of the day, like the morning and night, where you don't get much vitamin D, but you get that red light. So that's a really good app, D-Minder. There's also an incredible device that I have been exposed to from Germany. It's called the Healy. It's a frequency therapy device that works on chronic pain in the body, anxiety, depression. You put these it's helped me with my anxiety and feeling down at times. These little ear electrodes, you wet them and you put them on and you meditate, man, or you sit outside and put your feet connected to the earth. And it's just brings me so into the moment, so relaxed, so chilled, and it's a certain brainwave frequency. So that's been really good, as well as some of the bioenergetic support frequencies in there and the ability to scan. So that's my new little hack.
No, that's nice. I've never heard of that one. I'm going to have give that one a go for sure.
Yeah. Like some people, especially right now with the anxiety of the financial stress or relationship stress, or, you know, if you are starting and you're listening to this and going, oh my God, there's so much overwhelm from what he's sharing and you need a bit of balance. The mental balance on here, like one of the presenters that I work with, they have had anxiety for over 20 years presenting, and she put it on and she goes, Zach, it feels like I just had a Xanax, which is like a full relaxing pill. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. And she bought it just because of the ability to relax her nervous system, which I think, you know, is just key. You know, for people who are addicted to substances, having this as an option to go for as a fallback to relax that stimulation into the body between the brain and the gut connection is a really cool tool. You know, breathing processes, we haven't even talked about breathing, you know, whether it's like a relaxing breathing method or like the Wim Hof method is quite activating, as well as doing some cold showers or cold ice exposures. They have been an amazing addition to my, kind of like an amazing reset. If I'm having a stressful day, or I've just had a bad meeting, or I've got something really important to do, have a cold shower. It like fully wakes me up and I'm like ready to rock. So that's a really cool hack too. Gosh, I could just keep talking for ages, but
man, so much good stuff in here. So let's just talk about people at the moment. So we're all have been forced into our homes to stay in our homes. And I know a lot of people are just sitting in their homes all day. So they don't even go out into the sun at the moment.
Yeah.
So what are some things that people can do to get help while they're isolated in this period of time?
Yeah, gosh, this is something I haven't really thought about too much, but I think right now one really cool solution is getting a red light panel. I think you mentioned that briefly, all these new globes. A red light panel, you know, I've got one behind me here. I don't know if you can see that red. It's kind of that red thing. That red thing.
Yeah. Just defocus then, and I could see it. Yep.
Yeah. So that's emitting a certain wave that's mimicking the sunrise. So if you cannot get to the sunrise, but you're like, yeah, I really want to get this red light in the morning, you can buy one of these panels that you put over any part of your body. Ideally naked. You do front and back, 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes each area, and you can buy big, quite expensive for a big panel, and you do 10 minutes on the back, 10 minutes on the front, and that's actually boosting the ATP and helping the mitochondria. So that would probably be an incredible addition. And then, at home, you know, like there's different apps now, you know, just reconnecting with people, whether it's, I think there's like some app where it's like home party or something, and, you know, make it a bit more fun where you can be at home, you can sit on a Zoom call, you can sit on a Skype or whatever you're doing and have some friends over. So, hey, this is last night we did a team call with some people that I work with, and for half an hour we sat and danced. We had a playlist on a playlist, and we just chose the song and went through the song, and we all danced for like 20-30 minutes on the Zoom. And so there are ways out there to stay connected and do these fun things. So it is challenging, but we have to be creative and innovate.
Yeah, no, totally, man. I was thinking if someone is out there as an app creator, or if someone already knows it's been created, but a party app that you join in and you're part of a party and the same music plays for everyone, and then there's video showing everyone and you're dancing to it. I thought that would be super cool.
Well, let's create it. That's what this is about, hey?
Yeah, someone can jump onto that for sure. People have heard all these things now. They're like, oh my God, I am overwhelmed with all these things I've never heard of before. Where do I start? How can I make this enjoyable? What are your tips around that?
Yeah, so I think if our vision of how our life, of how we want our life to look like, health-wise, relationship, finances, if we have a strong vision, a really compelling vision that's so bright and so vivid and so exciting, it doesn't matter that, oh my gosh, I've got to have, do this little wake up for the sunrise, or I've got to go to bed a bit earlier. Those things won't matter. So my challenge to you guys is don't worry about the little things, these habits, is increase your, turn up the clarity turn up the certainty, turn up the excitement and passion and volume on your vision, and all these things will become secondary. Like, of course I'll do that. That's so easy. Of course I'm going to do that, because it's linked to your vision. And so when we get clear on our vision, all these other things just fall into place.
Yeah, just a little, I'm so passionate about this vision thing as well. And a little exercise that people can do is just put yourself in the future and if you're not living your ideal life right now, just put yourself a year from now, 5 years from now, whatever it is. If you need 5 years to build your wealth, or if you need 1 year to turn your whole life around, put yourself there and feel it. Like experience that and think about how good that's going to be for you, and then become that person today. So when you are in the future and you know about it and write about your life, and I think if you use a pen and paper and you write and have that kinesthetic connection with the paper and the pen, and write out what your life is like, but you date it like a year from now or 5 years from now, man, that is so motivating to go like, that's me. It's like a contract to yourself. So go ahead and write that out and put in all these tools and things in there as well that you're using now that you've heard about them. And
I love that. It's just, as I said, the first thing you said, why are people so unhealthy these days, is because we're just so distracted. You know, that next thing that we haven't really sat down, or we don't have the elders in the tribe anymore to go, hey, what do you really want? You know, let's just sit down for a whole day and let's just write it out. Be the writer, director, producer, actor in your own script of a life, and get clear on that before taking any action. You know, I think when I want to work with someone, well, I do, when I go to work with someone, I want to figure out, what's your vision? What are you working on? What are your values? You know, where do you want to be? And if we don't align, then we're not going to work together. So it's a great tool in business. And I find it really creates a lot of grounding, as with all these little strategies. This is really easy, but also creating that big picture that will fuel it long term and create that consistency. And so if anyone, I've got actually a document. It's called the Self-Awareness Blueprint. It's a 12-month plan that breaks down 12-month, 90-day, 30-day goals, as well as all these health tips as like a model. Feel free to email me, and I can send you guys some information on that too.
Awesome, man. I'll put your contact details below the episode.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. This has been such an awesome session. I'm so excited to have you here and for you to share this knowledge with people in the world. I think people need to become more aware of all of this stuff. And with the increasing amount of social media and distraction like you're talking about, and light from the ingestion of that, I think that we need to be aware of this sort of stuff. So I really appreciate you sharing what you've learned over your life, man. And I hope everything goes well with you.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks for the time. Thanks, everyone. It's been a lot of fun. Cheers.
Cool. Catch ya.